Good morning. Welcome to Hometown Heroes. This is Rick Irving, and today my co-host Mary Staffeld has Dawn Graves duty, and she's on the road taking Dawn to a speaking engagement down in Fredericksburg. But we're so delighted to have Melissa Dabi on today. Melissa's the executive director of the Air Power Foundation, and it's a foundation that we talk about every week on Hometown Heroes. So, Melissa, welcome to Hometown Heroes.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. You've been you've been with the Air Power Foundation for just about a year, haven't you?
Coming up at the end of October, it'll be 1 year.
And that's been exciting to see uh, how things have changed a little bit. Uh, Certainly for the positive, and we just had the things have changed a little bit. Hold on. Uh, but we just had the Patriot Roundup,
hmm
and that was our second annual Patriot Roundup. And whenever I left, I thought we have moved to a whole new level. So that was a great. I couldn't believe how much was raised
hmm
from the auction and the silent auction that night.
Yeah,
And
it was amazing. Like I still like pinch myself because it was just everything just came together and it was a beautiful event. It was a wonderful celebration of Native Americans and then all the money that we raised to be able to help, all of our military and veterans was, and I love what you said. It's like we moved to the next level and I really appreciate that comment so much because we worked really hard.
yeah, and you've got a great team
We do.
because Wanda's the uh, chairman. I
hmm
always want to say chairperson, but she says no. I'm the chairman of
Yeah.
the Air Power Foundation, and
Uh-huh.
then Cameron McNutt is the marketing director, and then you have the executive. What's the
Admin
other? Okay,
and Sierra Pickett. Yeah.
and so you've got a really good team,
hmm
and a lot of exciting things are happening. One thing I've noticed too is on social media, I see you and Wanda and others from the Air Power Foundation at all these other events, uh,
hmm
going to support them and just helping them. But uh, you know, it's exciting times.
It is. It is exciting, and we are out in the community a lot, and we are supporting other events and other nonprofits because we're only better together. So we have to work together. We have to collaborate to, really make that the biggest impact that we can to support our military.
And you're making a great impact. But let's kind of talk about you and where you grew up and kind of how you evolved from your teenage years all the way up to now that you're the executive director for the Air Power Foundation.
Yeah, I don't really like talking about myself very much. I'm really more comfortable talking about the work that we do, but I'll give it a chance here. Um, yeah, so I had a really wonderful childhood. I grew up in an idyllic area out in the woods and in the creeks and rivers and in the lakes. I loved my childhood. It was really, I was in a bubble, I think, most of my life until I turned into my teens and really went outside in the world and was kind of hit me in the face, quite honestly, and got mixed up with probably some not so great characters and kind of lost my way a little bit, just trying to find my way in the world, when you're young and you're not sure what you want to do and you're trying a lot of different things. And I really went down a path that I'm not super proud of, but we all have a past and we all um, move from that and develop and learn from it. And that's kind of where I started. I guess when I was in my late teens, I found myself in a really kind of challenging place and really kind of lost. I was really lost. And I just remember praying one night. I said, I just can't do this anymore. Something has to change. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be here anymore. And the very next day, God rescued me from that place. And, I said, I will serve you until the end of my days. And that's really kind of started my path into the mission world and serving others and giving back really every day if I can.
And a lot of times, your story is probably similar to a lot of other people that in their teenage years, early 20s, that they just kind of lose their way a little bit. But so many times you hear people that have had experiences where they just tell God, hey, I've done all I can do. Get me out of this deal and I'll serve you from now on. Well, even like Don Graves, we've heard his story. He's on the beach and he wasn't real religious or anything, but that's what he told God. But it was years later before God kind of tapped him on the shoulder and reminded him, hey, don't you remember back there on Iwo Jima, you kind of made a promise and I got you off that island? So
yeah, and it was kind of like that too. I mean, it was a few years later, I just had I had a great, I found my way out of there and I had a great job. I was loving life. And then you felt that tap, right? And I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to do this and survive life? But that's when you have that faith and that trust that God has a plan for you. And sometimes you just have to walk through that door, even if it's unknown, even if there's some fear behind there, because God is directing your path and he's not going to direct your path into a place of destruction. So I just took that leap and said, all right, here I go.
And so when were you in advertising or were you already doing some nonprofit stuff back then?
No, not really. I mean, no, I wasn't doing nonprofit stuff, but I was serving in my church as a youth leader and just working a lot with our youth, and that continued to develop. I was working for Salem Communications at the time, selling advertising, writing commercials, all those. It was a lot of fun. Like I loved that job. And our church at the time was building a life center. And I'd been serving in the church for several years, and I just felt that call to go, all in. But they could only offer me a part-time job, so I had to make a choice. It's either go work part-time, and I was single and had one income, and I had to decide, do I want to leave this really wonderful job where I can do whatever I want and, making good money, or do I give it all up and go this way? And I had to make that choice, and I gave a promise to God, and that's what I did. I left and things worked out, and it grew from there. We built a huge outreach program where we were working with homeless outreach in Fort Worth. We had a car giveaway program, and we're going to Mexico all the time. We built an international outreach. We built a skate park with the city. I mean, we did so many wonderful things. It was a fun time in my life, honestly.
And that's so hard to do sometimes because you have what and a good income coming in, and then all of a sudden you're looking at, hey, here's half the income.
Working for a church.
It's just to do what God wants you to do. So.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy choice, honestly. It was, really difficult. And it just so happened that the Burleson Chamber of Commerce offered me a part-time position. So that made my full-time position salary, which was, a blessing. And it was a great experience working for both of them. But the church gig turned into full-time pretty quick after that.
Tell me again where you grew up.
I grew up in Fort Worth in North Richland Hills.
That's okay.
From. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that grow up there. So, and then you were in the Burleson area. Is that where the church was that you were working? Okay.
Yes, that was the church and I lived there for several years, and until I had this gentleman come visit us, and he said, I want you to take a trip with me to Africa to look at this project that we're doing and see if you guys want to be involved. And I said, okay, let's go. And took a couple of people with me. And the next thing I know, we're in the middle of nowhere in Ethiopia, And that kind of wrote the rest of my story, quite honestly.
And that's kind of one of those faith deals too, to go to a country like Ethiopia to do mission work. So
Yeah, it was really wonderful. So we ended up partnering with this other organization and doing, it was called Adopt a Village, where we got into rural communities and help develop their infrastructure plan, water, school, utilities, that type of thing. And yeah, I was doing that for several years. We're going back and forth. And, every time I would come back to the States, oh man, I just didn't want to be here. I was really discontent and knew I was being called just to go there and to be there full time. And one day I just said, I'm going, and packed my bag, sold all my stuff, and moved to Ethiopia. And it was amazing experience to live in another culture. I mean, if you've never traveled outside the States, I'm just going to encourage everybody today, go spend some time, not at a resort, but with the local community, learn their culture, learn the ways of their life. It will be the best experience of your life, I promise you.
And you see a lot of things that you don't see in our country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really true. And I really miss it. I mean, I've been back for 10 or 12 years now, and a little bit longer than that, actually. But what I miss is the community. There it is just so, I mean, family's really important. Your social life with your friends are really important. You make time for one another. Here we just don't do that. We're busy. I mean, we all work, all day long, all night. We get up early and we start it over again. And we put our relationships and, our family and our friends to the back burner. And, we can learn a thing or two from our friends across the pond.
Yeah, I look back in my own life, and it seemed like things were slower and easier before the internet came along,
Yeah.
because that sure takes a lot of our energy and our focus from other things. It makes some things simpler, but then again, that community, the family, things like that, we keep up with everybody.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not the same. I was looking the other day at some letters my mother had written to my grandfather and my uncle. Back then, everything long distance cost some money to make a long distance call. She was in Fort Worth and they were up in Wise County in Bridgeport, but they wrote letters to each other.
Yeah, I barely remember those days, but yeah, I remember them, and that we live in a completely different, different time now. But one thing,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the biggest things that I learned while I was living there was that, we take a lot of things for granted in this country. I always say they're first world problems, right? And we don't give thanks, or we're not thankful, or we don't have that gratitude for the things that we have. And, going to some of these families that were living in really kind of destitute situations and struggling to survive day to day, not really having any food, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from, living in basically a 10 by 10 shack, and, them wanting to share their food, their meals with me, and just their love with me. They don't even really know me, but they just were so open and compassionate towards me, and wanted to know about me and how I was feeling about being in a different country, and just the way that they give thanks for every single thing that they have. There's a happiness and a joy that resonates within them that it's hard to explain unless you see it firsthand. And I try to have that same joy when, we all go through our own struggles and things. And I try to remember back to those moments where I saw, I broke bread with the poorest of the poor, but the love and the joy, and they just would always give thanks to God. I mean, they're like, thank you, God, for this day, and thank you for what I have. And I'm just like, tears are rolling down my eyes because I'm feeling like such a selfish American, right? So big lessons learned over there.
And you said some things about gratitude, because they are really grateful for just the little things, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but they're grateful and they show that gratitude. And that's one thing I think in our society now is we don't show a lot of gratitude. I mean, some people do. Some people have a real art at showing gratitude, but other people, it's just like, no problem. And that's one of my pet peeves as an old man. Whenever I say thank you to somebody, you know, instead of saying you're welcome, no problem. And that's just a term that is used by our modern society, but back in the old days, we'd say thank you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's the way that we say thank you now is no problem. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, that's why I say if we could all just, get on a plane together and go, spend some time in some other areas of the world, we could really learn a lot about how we live and about ourselves and how resilient and grateful we should be. And, I don't know, we could learn a lot.
but you see in an environment like Ethiopia, you see so much so many things that you don't see here. The child death rate's probably pretty high,
Yeah.
and they lose children, very young, even babies. I guess maybe the birth rate survival is not what it is here. But then,
I mean, just like normal everyday things like going to school in one of the rural areas that we worked in, they had to walk from their house to the school. And I asked one day, I'm like, well, where's so-and-so? Oh, well, the hyenas got them. And I was like, what? I mean, those are things that we don't think about. Like they have to watch out for hyenas, or they have to, worry about becoming a child bride or someone taking them. I mean, we have those things here, but it's just different. I mean, they're just different challenges that they face that I've never thought. And, I've lost several friends over there. I have a huge network over there still and great friends and, things that we don't really pass from here anymore in this country, they do. And I remember calling my friend and I couldn't get a hold of her. And I'm like, where is she? And the next thing I know, I finally, a couple of days later, they called me and said that she passed on. And it was just from something so preventable. In our country, we don't even see it. So it's those types of things that, we don't experience or not everybody gets to see.
but then you see a lot of joy and happiness in their lives too. And I've had a lot of friends over the years that have been missionaries and done humanitarian work over in Africa and those countries, and to see some of the women in some of those villages in their dresses that are so beautiful, and then I don't know what country it was, but whenever the men would go over here and the women would go over there, and all the women in the village would be jumping up and down, just standing there jumping up and down, and some kind of deal they had, welcoming them or something. But
yeah, there is so much joy and celebration. Even, they may not have much, but they possess something. I always say that we don't. It is that inner peace and joy that they just resonate with it, and it's beautiful to see it and to experience it and to be part of it.
So you did that for how many years?
Oh gosh, several, more than 5 years. I didn't live there for 5 years. It was about 5 to 9 years. I did work over there, but probably I lived there for 2, I guess. But going back and forth, I was going like every 3 months, and I pretty much was living there a lot, just doing a lot of travel. But it was great. I got to see so much. I mean, the country's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's one of the most, I call it heaven on earth. There are just places in that country that are just spectacular and gorgeous. And I just could stay there my whole life, honestly. But I got to do a lot of work helping women and children become sustainable, helping economic development programs, helping women, or I'm going to say women, they were girls, out of the child bride situation. That was a big issue and a challenge when I was there. Got to do some really incredible projects and work with some really amazing people.
Whenever you say child bride, is it like 9, 10 years old or younger or
Some of them,
older?
yeah, some of them were. So I'll tell you this quick story if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Was on our way to, I worked in an area, one of the areas that I worked in was in Koche or Kore, which is the trash dump area. And we had a project there where we had a feeding program for the kids because in that country they don't get their lunches paid for. So if they don't have any food at home, then they're not eating lunch. So they would come to our facility, eat lunch, and they'd go back to school. But on the way to our facility, I saw this lady like walk over and put this baby down in front of a door, and I was like, "What is going on?" So I said, "Stop the car, stop the car." And I jumped out. I ran over there, got her. We went to the police station. I was trying to understand what was going on. She was 13 and she was from the rural parts. She was from the countryside and she was married to a 45, 50-year-old man who was abusing her and stopped. He actually kicked her out of the house and she was living an equivalent of what would call a doghouse. And she didn't have any more milk and her baby was just starving to death. And she said, "I knew this family would take care of my baby." I'm like, "Well, that's not going to happen. We are going to get you in our program. We're going to make sure you have a place to live. We're going to help you get educated, get a job, and we're going to make sure your baby's going to be all right and y'all are going to stay together." And then oh gosh, I just love her so much. And she asked me to, I got the privilege. She wanted me to name her baby. She hadn't even named her baby yet. And so I got to do that, which was just a real honor. And it's something I'll never forget. And now the baby Marta, she's 12 and everybody's doing great. And that's just the power of community coming together, supporting one another and helping people out of a bad situation.
And you helped her get out of that situation and create a whole new life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's rewarding, isn't it?
It was probably one of the most memorable experiences. I mean, I think what she did for me was a lot more than what we did for her, quite honestly. Like she lives in my heart all the time.
And what's the baby's name or the young girl's name now?
Baby Marta. Her name is Marta.
Okay.
It's a name from the Bible, and it has a lot of meaning, and it's a very special name in Ethiopia. So that's why I named her Marta.
And you said that they lived in a dump. Is that where?
Yeah.
That's where I've seen pictures where they have these dumps, and people actually have little shacks there that go through all the trash and garbage to try to survive every day.
Yeah, it's changed a lot now since I've been there, and I think there's been a lot of progress out of that area, and it's really changed and evolved. But back when I was working there, it was awful. I mean, they would wait for they knew which trucks were the Hilton and the Sheraton, and they wanted those trucks because it had the best leftover trash or the leftover food in the trash. It's just things that we just don't think about being in this country. And one of the things that a lot of people would die from is they would find water bottles and they would think it was water and they drink it, but it wasn't. It was poison. So they just wanting some clean water to drink. And they lost their life over that. Yeah. I mean, it's just hard. Some of the things are just heartbreaking, but there are so many success stories and so many great things that come from that and came out of some of those things. So, it's hard. You can get overwhelmed by all the challenges because there's a lot of them and there's a lot of, poverty and there's a lot of babies that get left and, there's just a lot, but you can't stay focused on that or you'll become paralyzed. You won't be able to do anything. I have to focus on, that one good thing that you're doing for that day and just do that every day. Just focus on that good every day. Because one matters, just one life.
It does. And it doesn't take a lot to really change somebody's life over there.
Yeah.
You think about the things that we throw away and go to our dumps. They could live like kings if they could live around our dumps with all the things that we throw away.
100%. I mean, it was hard to work in that area and to be in that every day and to, you just see these innocent little, these little kids, and we had hundreds of them that we fed every day, and they were just so happy. And the other thing, so their food, it's called what, and they eat it on injera bread, and they eat it with their hands. And we would feed them, and I would always be out there with the kids because I just love being around them. And they were trying to feed me part of their lunch. They're knowing this is their only, great meal they're going to get for that day. But, they wanted to share it with me. And I just never, sometimes I
Uh-oh. Well, Melissa kind of froze up here for a second, but she'll be back in a minute. But what an incredible story about her work in Ethiopia. And then in just a few minutes, we'll kind of transition to where she is now. So, and how she got there. Melissa's done a lot of great things for our military and veterans since she's become part of the Air Power Foundation. So, Melissa, if you can still hear me, you might try to log back in. Well, there she is. Okay, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, your picture's not there, but you're there. So,
okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Technology happens sometimes.
It does. Seems to always happen to me, but all right.
It happens to us. There you go.
Yeah.
But so many little baby steps you take to help those people make a real difference in their life. And then do you go back sometime, or you?
Yeah, I haven't been back in a while. I still stay in contact with several people. I call them my family now because they're just dear friends. And I still do some things and support some of the people that I help. Like one guy, he was a kid at the time, but I gave him my Bible, and he remembered me and found me. And now, I still talk to him and kind of support his life journey. So that's always great. But yeah, I haven't been back in probably 4 years, but yeah, I think about it often.
But it was probably a real struggle whenever the time came to leave and transition into something else. That was probably a struggle too, wasn't it?
It was. I think my heart will always be there. But I knew it was, God had some other ideas and plans for me, and it was time to come back and spend some time with my mom and dad and the rest of my family and friends. And so, sometimes we have to make hard decisions in life. It may not be always our plan, but we have to, go forward.
And so you came back, and did you keep working in the church, or did you go into secular work?
I stayed in nonprofit. So when I was over there, I wasn't part of the church. I was doing my own thing and had started some consulting and working with other nonprofits. So I just continued that when I came back. I joined an organization that was consulting. They were based in Canada, and I took care of the U.S. side of things and doing new business development and working with some charities to help build their fundraising program and things like that. It was great. I did that for, I don't know, a long time. I traveled all over the U.S. and Canada doing consulting and working with our teams across the U.S. to help charities raise funds. And it was a wonderful experience. And I love it because I love to travel and I love meeting new people. And it was I got to see a lot of the U.S. And then I took a break from that.
All these charities, all the nonprofits, they all require money to be able to do their work.
Mm-hmm.
And the fundraising part is a tremendous amount of work to get the money coming in so you can carry out the mission of the organization.
Yeah.
And, yesterday was Labor Day and we're coming into the fall. And the fall is kind of the time when a lot of the nonprofits raise their funds for the year. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work because you're trying to focus on your mission, but then you're trying to also find the donors and touch the heartstrings of the purses, uh, so you can continue funding. So,
Yeah, it's always, a challenge. I think our, fundraising, it always evolves. What you do and how you approach the things right now may not be the same way you approach things even 3 months or 6 months from now, because our environment changes, right? Our economy changes, our community changes. So we have to continue to evolve and change along with it so we can continue to raise those funds and grow the organizations that we work for.
and COVID had a big impact on a lot of organizations because uh, we couldn't have the galas or the clay shoots or the golf tournaments, and so some of those organizations kind of had to shift gears and even change their mission and the way they did business. So,
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of nonprofits didn't survive. Some of them, I think, kind of came together and did some work together, which is great, which is what we should always be doing, right? Find those moments to collaborate together. But yeah, COVID was a really big challenge for a lot of nonprofits. I was kind of in a different place then. I wasn't doing too much nonprofit work. I was consulting, as I always consult, and I've always given for smaller nonprofits. I've always just done that as part of my giving back because, consultants are a little expensive and not every nonprofit can afford it. So, yeah, it was a challenging time for sure.
and so you've taken all that and excuse me. Now you're working with Air Power, and you just met the Air Power last year.
I did. So it was just an interesting story. So one of my friends went to the Patriot Roundup last year and started a conversation with Kevin Fallon and said, you need to meet Melissa. She's been in this world for a long time. And we got introduced and I started speaking with Kevin just about my background and, learning about Air Power and what Air Power does. And then he introduced me to Wanda. And then I met the team at Air Power. And the next thing I started doing a little consulting, just offering some things, some do difference or some ways to raise some more funds or to build new partnerships or, stuff on new business development or in the structure of things as well. And then the next thing I know, here I am.
And Kevin is a unique individual. I don't know how he does all the things and has all the connections he has because he's active duty Navy.
Yeah.
But yet everybody in Fort Worth knows him.
Yeah, I think everybody in the U.S. knows him. He's a great asset, and we're very fortunate to have him on our team, and that he's so passionate about Air Power and our mission. He was the chairman of the Patriot Roundup and did a great job with that, and rallied the team. And he's a great connector, and we're just really fortunate and blessed to have him on our team.
And the Patriot Roundup, this year the focus was on Native Americans and their contribution to our military and their contribution in helping win World War I and World War II through the Code Talkers. And that was such a unique experience to see the ancestors of those World War I Code Talkers, and then to hear their stories, and then to see the way the community came together, because I know everybody thoroughly enjoyed it. And then to see the people that opened up their pocketbooks to help the mission of Air Power, and the way the auction went was remarkable.
Yeah, that was really, I tear up when I think about it because, I I'm just so humbled by the community that surrounds us and that want to give back and participate and really get behind our military and especially our veterans. That is just so heartwarming and humbling that, people rallied behind this event. And it was a powerful event. It's one I won't forget for a long time. And just some of the pieces on the side that happened, even with Gabriel, that was kind of an unplanned thing that, and why he rucks and just a lot of things like that made it just so special. And him being both of his grandfathers were Navajo code talkers. So it was just kind of full circle, the whole event.
And Gabriel kind of showed up a month before at the 22-mile walk.
He did.
And I couldn't believe on that hot summer day for the Patriot Roundup, he started in Grand Prairie and walked most of the way to Fort Worth. And it wasn't like he was in his jogging suit or anything. He looked like he was going to the Antarctic or something. But
yeah, I had a really interesting story about that. So, the day of this big event, and I'm trying to get to the Coliseum, and I think it was Cameron. She said, Can you go meet Gabriel and give him some Gatorade? And, oh yeah, that'd be an honor, but I gotta hurry. I gotta get down to the Coliseum, get things ready. And I met him at the Medal of Honor Museum and gave him some snacks and Gatorade. And the next thing I know, we're sitting on that, that big old walkway that goes into Medal of Honor. We're sitting on the ground. Well, he's, kind of recovering, getting some energy back. And he just starts sharing all these incredible stories that have been passed down to him. And I'll tell you, after I think I sat with him for almost 45 minutes. And that was my Patriot Roundup right there. It was being in that moment with him and him sharing his stories and why he walks and the things that are in his pack and the hope that he brings, and just hearing his own personal struggles with, this mental health and the things he's done in his life. And I'll tell you what, his name is Gabriel for a reason, because he was definitely my angel that day. And I felt he had some direct messages directly to me. And I was wrecked after that. I was really wrecked after that moment.
And then he showed up at the Patriot Roundup, walked in and presented you and the Air Power Foundation with a retired flag from the Retired Flag Project. So that was rewarding, because I've been working with Melissa Bird for years with her Retired Flag Project. I think I got one of the flags I have was number 5,000 that she did, and I think she's way up past 8,000 now. But just those people in life, like Gabriel, like Melissa, that have a mission, and they've touched so many people's lives just doing the things they do.
Yeah, they're doing what they've been called to do, and it makes such an impact. And for us to receive, for him to present Air Power with that flag was very humbling and was a real honor, and we'll treasure it forever, honestly. And everybody does their part, right? We all have a calling. We all have a part to play. It's not all the same. My calling looks different than your calling, and your calling looks different than Cameron's calling, but together, man, we make an awesome team.
We do indeed. It's all those little parts that come together. And then being in your position and seeing the things I see, we meet so many incredible people that, I mean, just like Keith Mundy with American Hat Company, there's a guy that he's everywhere, and he really supports. I mean, he's on the board of directors for Air Power, but he really has a passion for our military and for our veterans.
Yeah, I know we have such a great team, from our staff and our board of directors and down to our volunteers. and then the Air Power Council. I mean, we have such wonderful, even other nonprofits that come on board, and then our partners at the City of Fort Worth, and Chuck over at the Texas Veterans Commission. We have such a wonderful community. I mean, we are so blessed and so honored, really, to live in this area where everybody's working together and everybody's one big team. It's really
and that community is growing all the time, and that's refreshing too, because over the years that I've been involved with nonprofits, I'm seeing more of the nonprofits coming together to work together, because we all have the same end user.
Right.
And a long time ago, it was like some of the board of directors, some of the people that started these had such a death grip on their foundations that they didn't want to, network. But I've really seen it evolve, especially after COVID, where these nonprofits are coming together and helping each other, just like with Holidays and Heroes. Carrie had that idea and had that going, and then the Fort Worth Air Power Council got involved, and the Air Power Foundation and Roll Call, and now we were able, as a big group, to help support more people, because not only with the funding and all coming together to work on that common goal, but with the volunteers, because I mean, Carrie does a magnificent job, and she couldn't do all that without the volunteers. The Air Power Foundation certainly couldn't do anything like the Patriot Roundup or Skyball without a whole host of volunteers. And then you've got Patty, that's the volunteer coordinator. She herds all those volunteers real well.
Yes, she does, for sure. I mean, we're just really fortunate, and I think, because we are outward focused. It's not about me. It's not my organization. It's not my people that I'm helping. It's our community. It's our network, and we all have to work together. And you have to get the ego out of it. It's not about whose name is where and all that. It's just about helping people. And if you keep that mindset, I think, you're going to do well for yourself.
And that's one thing that Mary and I really strive in our life and in our podcast, and is to bring together organizations so we can better help our veterans and our military, our Gold Star families, and because there's a larger impact whenever we do that together. So that's been a refreshing thing to see happen. So you've got a lot of things that you've done, and you've got a lot of things coming up. I mean, there's always something happening, and it's totally always evolving, because we have, let's see what we got. We're just going to kind of go through these. This is an employment workshop, a career fair for veterans, September the 26th. And the Fort Worth Veterans, what do they call that now?
Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, the Veterans Affairs. And Joaquin, he has been such an asset to our veteran community since he became the first Veterans Affairs officer for the city of Fort Worth. We've got that coming up. And then in Baird, Texas, for people that don't know where Baird, Texas is, if you get on I-20 going west, you pass Weatherford, you pass Cisco, and you pass Putnam, and then you come to Baird before you get to Abilene. I remember as a little kid, we used to ride the train to Abilene to see my grandparents a lot. And there's a big hill at Baird, and that train would struggle going up that hill. But our good friend and ambassador for the Air Power Foundation, Austin Ossip, is putting this together, and it's going to be a great event. A lot of different musicians are going to be doing that, and I can't see the date on that.
It is October 18th, and it starts at 12. And it's going to be a great, fun, amazing day full of music, but also celebrating our military. So all the military get in for free on that day. And, Dias is right there. So Dias is going to be involved. And we hope, JRB, we'll get some people from JRB to come hang out with us. And, we're the beneficiary for this event. And we're just honored that Austin would have us be part of this. It's going to be a great day. Can't wait for it.
In Austin, I always love to tell the story about Austin because back in, I think it was 1959 or whatever, when Buddy Holly got killed, they said that was the day that music died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I beg to differ because there was a coin flip, and Austin's daddy, Tommy Ossip, lost the coin flip, and he didn't get to ride on that airplane.
Yeah.
The Big Bopper and Rudy Vallon and Buddy Holly, they all got killed on that airplane in that airplane crash. But Tommy Ossip didn't. And then he had Austin, and now Austin's daughter is also singing. So the music keeps going on. Okay. And Dice Air Force Base, that's a big part of the economy out in Abilene. And for people that don't know how things work, at the National Cemetery, at a lot of the Air Force funerals, the honor guard that comes to play taps and fold the flag, they all drive every day. They take a van from Dias Air Force Base to the Metroplex to do funerals. So I don't know why they do that, but I guess that's the way they do it. So those young service people see a lot of miles up and down I-20. So.
They sure do.
But that's going to be in Baird, Texas. And then we have the Sky Ball, and that is October the 25th at Globe Life Field. And just imagine those people that watch baseball, you see that the baseball park. Well, that night it turns into a great big ball with everybody dressed up and tables down on the field. And one year they had a football game the next day, and there were goalposts on the field. But this is just an amazing evening. And the first time I ever saw it, I was a guest, and I said, I don't know what I need to do to get to go to this thing, but I want to go every year. And I've been going every year since 2018. But it's just a magnificent evening. We'll have some new recruits that'll take the oath of enlistment. There'll be Medal of Honor recipients. There'll be singing. Neil
McCoy. Yeah.
Neil McCoy. There's going to be the headline entertainment. And, he's been around a long time. And he sings a lot of good songs. So
he sure does. It's going to be it's going to be a great celebration. It's going to be so much fun. And I just can't wait. It's going to be a fantastic evening celebrating our military and helping our military and our veterans at the same time. It's going to be great.
And you can find out more information by going to airpowerfoundation.org about those events. And then on November the 8th, it's the Ride to Remember, and the Leathernecks, the Marine, it's the Leathernecks Motorcycle Club. They're going to put on a ride, and it's going to benefit the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. So Air Power Foundation will be the recipient of that to keep that mission going, because really, you were kind of a catalyst on getting that going back in June whenever we did the 22-mile challenge. And that turned out to be such a great event. Raised a lot of money. We were able to get a service dog to a veteran. And just having the motorcycle clubs come in to support that. And it's on November 8th, and that's just 2 days before the Marine Corps birthday and 3 days before Veterans Day. And that's the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. So lot of stuff going on in November.
Yes, we're definitely busy. I mean, it's a busy fall for us, and we're excited. We're always looking for ways to get more involved in our community and support our military, our active military, our reservists, and all branches and our veterans and their families. It's not just that active duty or that reserve or veteran. It's also their families, and especially for our Gold Star families, for those kids who have lost, their parent. We need to rally around them. We need to provide opportunities. So it's really everybody that's in that military and family, and that's what I love about Air Power, because we help the whole family.
Yeah, and just like with the Holidays and Heroes, where you see all those gifts come in and all those children and all the smiles and the happy hearts that day, not just from the children or the children's parents, but from the multitude of volunteers that are there too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great event. It's a great time to come together. So if you're interested, you can go to airpowerfoundation.org, and we can definitely get you connected.
And there's a lot of opportunity for volunteers too, for the Sky Ball, for Holidays and Heroes, and a lot of other organizations.
Yeah, and
Volunteers are the very core of making a successful nonprofit.
that was exactly what I was going to say. I mean, they really are the heartbeat. They're the ones that make it happen, and they are, they take care of everything, and we couldn't do it without them. I mean, without them, there's just no way we could get it all done.
The volunteers and the donors, and of course the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And you've really proven to be a great leader.
Thank you.
And with the team that Air Power has, we're doing a lot of amazing work and helping a lot of people.
Well, we're not finished yet. We're still going forward.
What's your biggest challenge as being the director?
Oh gosh, I guess for me. It's probably enough is never enough, and what's that next thing that we're going to do to raise the money to help more people? How there's always, it's just never enough in this kind of line of work. It's how can I get more people involved? How can I inspire someone? How can I get more of the community awareness out there and education? It's those challenges that, enough is never enough.
And then to go out and identify the needs that are in the community, because those needs change a lot, and they are changing all the time.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of things at NASJRB with the reservist, and Mary, being retired from the Air Force out there in the reserves, can certainly attest to it. A lot of the lower enlisted folks, sometimes that's their only source of income. And so, they have needs. And I know we've heard a lot over the last few years about our military getting on food stamps and having to get subsistence from the government just to eat. So, there's so many needs there with our veteran community. Some of our older veterans are homeless veterans. There's so many needs out there. So, the
Believe
needs.
me, I know it keeps me awake at night, and knowing those stories, and knowing that enough isn't enough, and we have to continue to keep working hard and building more community partners and more nonprofit partners to meet those needs, because they're not shrinking, they're growing. And what is Air Power's role in that, and how can we lead the way, right? How can we bring everyone together, and so we can all make the biggest impact? It's a challenge, honestly, but one that I think we're all up for and excited to meet head on.
I'm not sure what passage it is or exactly how it is in the Bible, but the workers are few, but there's a tremendous need out there. But the harvest, to see the harvest, It's what's so incredible. And just like whenever you're in Ethiopia, to see those little changes every day that will be made in people's lives. And then we get to witness a lot of changes like that in the lives of our veterans and military, first responders. Just, whether it's giving a service dog to a veteran, or maybe we have somebody that's mobily impaired, but given ways to give them their freedom back, like with Freedom Mobility Foundation, how they do it, how roll call, how the Air Power Foundation does, and then even with roll call to see how we change the lives by just having a lunch where veterans can come together and just sit, talk, and enjoy the company of each other.
Yeah, I think that is so important and so special. I've been to some of those luncheons, and it's just such a great experience to be with our nation's heroes and to see them come together with one another. You can just see they're so happy when they can come back together again. It's really great. I love it.
Yeah, it's a magnificent thing. If you don't know about roll call, it's a monthly veterans luncheon. You go to roll-call.org. It's free for veterans. We're capped at 500 people. We can't get any more in that building. And, we open the reservation line, and within about 3 days, there's not any reservations left. So it's a hot ticket in town, but it's certainly worth getting on. If you go to roll-call.org, there's a place where you can sign up, and that way you can get the newsletter to find out when the next roll call meeting is, and you'll get an email about the reservation line being open.
Yeah, it's a great. I think we're going to find a bigger building.
I know. It's one of those like double-edged swords. And once a year we have an ASJRB in the hangar, and we have about 700 or 800 people. But the more people you have, the more funds you need because it costs more money. So,
and the more volunteers you need too.
Absolutely. But that's a good problem to have.
It is 100%.
So what's next on your agenda? What are you working on this week?
Oh, well, I'm working on this big time bash with Austin. And obviously our big one, which is Skyball. We're all, we all have our heads down in it. And then of course that ride, but I'm also focused on next year. I'm already working on next year's walk, which will happen again in June. And then the Patriot Roundup, we've already started. We already have the dates on the calendars, and we know what our theme's going to be and what we're doing. So, it never stops. There's always more to do.
And, one thing we didn't mention is the Fort Worth Air Power Council. And the council's been in existence since about 1958. And the whole mission of the council was to be a supporter of, it was then Carswell Air Force Base, now in ASJRB, but to support the military and the military's mission and the families out there. And then about 25 years ago, they started the Air Power Foundation to be the fundraising arm to go help get the funds needed to do the work that is done with our military and our veterans locally. So that's the Fort Worth Air Power Council. Yeah. And you probably hear the sound of freedom from NASJRB. I'm going to let you talk for never mind. I was going to have to mute because I live south of the runway.
Okay.
And Mary lives about 5 miles south of me. So usually on Tuesday morning around 10 and 11, they're all flying. And you'll see me mute my microphone, and I'll come back, and Mary will mute hers. But awesome. It's called the sound of freedom.
Yeah, and I never get tired of hearing that. I never get tired of hearing that sound. And every time I'm in Fort Worth and they're flying, oh gosh, we're so blessed to live here and to witness that most days they're out flying.
They are, and that's a good thing.
It is.
That means their maintenance crew is working hard. But
true.
for more information about the Air Power Foundation, all the things we've got, uh, you want to go to the Sky Ball or the Big Bash or motorcycle rally, or just find out how you can be a volunteer or how you can get involved, uh, certainly how you could be a donor, just go
Mhm.
to airpowerfoundation.org and you'll be glad you did. I was.
Yeah, and also follow us on our socials. We're very active on across our social media. So when things, little events might pop up, you'll get those right away. You can join us.
Well, I've got probably the whole 301st going over my house now. So, but Melissa, thank you so much for all the hard work you do and for the vision you have for uh, the Air Power Foundation and for your leadership and that of Wanda and Cameron and uh, all the team there. I appreciate it, and I know our veterans and military appreciate it. So,
Well, thank you so much, and it's just it's a real honor, and I'm glad I can give back, and I'm glad that God led me to Air Power because we have a lot of work to do, and I love the team, and I love who I get to serve every day, and I just can't wait till you know we do more great things together.
well, you
Well,
do a
thank
magnificent job, and I'm so proud of you because you
oh,
do a great job.
thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. I mean, my gosh, you're everywhere too, and you do so much for our community and the awareness and the education piece. So, thank you for what you do.
Well, it's an honor to serve. So, but thank everybody for being a part of Hometown Heroes podcast. And if Mary's listening in, be careful going to Fredericksburg and try to keep Don Graves in line because I know that's a hard job.
That's a full time job.
It is. So God bless everybody. And thank you for being part of Hometown Heroes today.